Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Yeah! welcome to another episode of Arts Place Conservative Talk from a different view. We've got a great show today. Minus Mike Roach won't be able to join us. He has company from out of town, so it's just going to be Lloyd Mendenhall tonight. So we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the uh, the Ahmaud Arbery case and the final outcome of that, a guilty verdict of the three men that were accused of murdering this jogger. And we're going to also talk about the Build Back Better bill, which is passed the House and it's off to the Senate. So we'll talk about that. So let's get this ball rolling. Before I do, I want to say hello to Mason Kaiser, and Chris Wedgeworth, one of the few people here to watch us today. Hopefully, we'll get those numbers up. Uh, gotta remember, it's a holiday weekend, so it's going to be a little slow today, but who knows? Let's go ahead and get the show started. Let's welcome my co host all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. It's the excitable Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hey, Art. Yeah, I'm not too excitable today, I'll tell you what. Oh, my goodness, yeah. So, how was your Thanksgiving, Art?
It was pretty good. Went over to my niece's mother in law's house and had a nice dinner. It was my niece and her new husband. She just got married last month and showed me all the photos of their trip to Hawaii, which looked like it was very nice.
Oh,
Um,
cool, cool.
Also, let's see, there was Sean's son from a previous marriage and his girlfriend were there. So it was Barb, which is my niece's mother in law, who used to work at the company that I worked for. She was there several years before I started working there.
Oh,
And
okay,
my
okay.
sister, of course.
Your sister, yeah, yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, we
Hmm.
had my oldest son, his wife, and his mother-in-law over to our house, and my youngest son came over. My younger grandson, he's 14. But he's autistic, but he pretty well take care of himself. So he didn't feel good, so he didn't want to come around grandma with anything, so he stayed at home. But
Oh, I
it was nice though because we had the family together. Judy, we bought some new living room furniture here a while back, and so Judy sat in the new chair that we'd bought and curled up in a blanket and visited with the boys, and I kept the daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law busy visiting with them. We just had a good, nice Christmas celebration. We had ham. We don't do turkey. Uh,
uh,
uh, and that's a result of my son working for, raising butterball turkeys for about 6, 7 years, and
right.
everybody's tired of turkeys because we'd go up there and of course, he'd bring a turkey because he always he could get a turkey anytime he wanted. So we had a lot of turkey over that time period, and we just all kind of burned out on it. So
Were these like turkeys that couldn't make it to the
these were the ones.
store? These were
Yeah,
like
these were the.
seconds,
Yeah,
turkey
well,
missing a leg or a
no, no, no.
broken
These are
wing or
perfectly good
something.
turkeys, but he was allowed to go out and. You got to remember the way they run these farms. They run them in three stages. Okay, so they have a single barn down for the chicks, and they bring in. Now this is what's amazing. They bring in 18,000 chicks, and they load them off of a truck and run them into this single barn. Okay, as they grow, there's a covered pathway that goes to the next two barns because by the time they get up to certain size, they're going to need two barns. So they go from one barn to two barns, and they split them up into 9,000 a group of 9,000 or thereabouts. There's morbidity all figured in. But they herd these damn turkeys through this passageway into the next two barns. And that's the second stage. And they do that at about 4 weeks of age.
Right.
And, I can't remember, because I think they kept them for 8 or 9 weeks total. From chick to the butcher was about 9 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking 8, and these barns were the only time a barn was empty was after they herded out those 18,000 chicks that had become mid-size turkeys and split them into those other two barns. They had to go in and they had to completely scrape all the way down to the bot, and then they had to spray all the barns with spray it with pesticides and stuff, and then bring in new shavings, new topping, and everything in that barn, so they could drop in, because the day or two after this first 18,000 was shoved through to the second stage barns, they brought in another 18,000, and every 8 weeks they were cycling 18,000 turkeys at a time. Yeah. And so they had to pull out so many to check for, do blood testing and stuff like that, check and see if they got any disease. And so, those turkeys had to be killed, so they could send their, gizzards in for, or their innards in for testing. And so those 6 chickens, 2 geese, 4 running ducks, and I'll bet he's even got a partridge in a pear tree. But yeah, I mean, it was a big process, and we've been up there through each section of it, and it's amazing. I do know one thing though, because they take all those scrapings and everything, and they put it into a big mulch barn, and they can take, or compost barn, I should say, compost, and then they take and they sell it as natural fertilizer. They sell it. And they make extra money that way. And that money is strictly for the farm. But they just it's got. I thought turkeys could fly. Exactly. That's got to be the best known quote of anybody our age. Everybody remembers that. WKRP Cincinnati. That was so funny. But
when you talk about the process of Butterball, I keep thinking of that episode of South Park where all the turkeys went in that room and they had the big screen, and there's that one turkey that has his I guess he's got a broken neck or a funny neck, and then all the other turkeys, a big saw blade comes across and lops their heads off, and he's the only one left.
Only one left. Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah. I mean, it's the amount of turkeys they run through a year is just unbelievable. But also discovered you ever want to bump somebody off, find a chicken or a compost pile, because they throw the dead turkeys into that compost heap, and by the time they get to the they go up, and then they start pulling out from underneath, there's no bones left, no feathers, nothing left in that fertilizer. And you want to get rid of somebody, either feed them to your hogs or stick them in a compost pile full of dead critters, and plus that'll screw up the DNA really good too. Not that I recommend you do this, folks. This is not a recommendation from the Grumpy Vlogger, just an observation.
Speaking of getting rid of people, did you hear there's another investigation of Hoffa in New Jersey? They're going to another site to check it out.
I thought I saw something about that. I thought, man, they're just throw them in with a bunch of hungry hogs. You're right, Mason. Yeah, I thought I saw something. I thought, well, wow, that's kind of old, and then I realized that they're doing a new investigation. I don't remember what led them to that, but of course they're looking to New Jersey. I mean, that's the dumping grounds of the mafia. That's New Jersey was because they it's just sort of a known fact.
Take them all the way from Detroit and go all the way to New Jersey? They could easily have gotten rid. I mean, you have these things called the Great Lake. They could
Yeah.
just put him in cement galoshes, and he'd never be found.
Well, maybe they wanted to send a little bit clearer message. You know, who knows? I don't think they're ever going to find his body.
No.
You know, it's just
Well, they say he was under Rutherford Stadium where the
right.
Giants play. And
Yeah,
then they
didn't they?
said, no, he's buried in somebody's yard, and they tore up that yard and found
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, yeah,
Here we are with a political show, and we're talking about Jimmy Hoffa.
yeah. Well, Jimmy Hoffa was involved with politics.
That's true. And speaking of the dead people, we have the Ahmaud Arbery case that just concluded
Yes.
Friday, where the three suspects were found guilty of his murder. Listening to that case and listening to the defense, I'm like going, God, that is the dumbest defense. We thought he was trying to steal stuff, and we were doing a citizen's arrest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know for a fact when I went through my concealed carry course, they brought up specifics of which you can use deadly force. And one of those was that, if somebody breaks into your house
Mm-hmm.
and you feel your life is being threatened,
Mm-hmm.
you're allowed to use deadly force. If, like we're a stand your ground law state, and if you feel that you or somebody in your immediate proximity or you see somebody is doing something right there on the spot, like trying to kill a woman getting beat half to death, you can pull your gun and insist the
Yep.
gentleman step back. And usually pulling your gun will stop the beatings, But if I look out my backyard in my shed back here, somebody's stealing my lawnmower, I can't go out my backyard and shoot him.
Yeah.
That's, and these guys said, well, we thought he was trying to steal something. Well, that's, what I
Don't
can
kill
do
it.
is,
Just, maybe you won the kneecap and kind of send
yeah,
a message.
yeah, but you can pull your gun and tell them to stop. Now, if they run towards you and attack you and they step into your house,
There you go.
you can shoot them, If they shoot at you, you can shoot back.
Right.
But they're very specific about those laws, and there's a lot of things, and these idiots did not. This is a whole different story than the Kyle Rittenhouse case.
Yes,
You
it
know,
was. Here in
uh,
Colorado, we have the Make My Day law.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And Mason puts up a good point. Just pull them back in the house when you shoot them, and you throw them through the window from the round, pull them back in. Yeah. We actually had police officers recommend to Judy that if somebody were to do that, just kind of make sure that they fell into the house, not outside, and they'd swear that
Right.
it was because uh, Judy pulled a gun on a couple of cops. She did this one guy twice because he was acting in a manner that was suspect at the time. And the first time we saw people outside and out front, they were messing around the back end of our truck, and I stepped out there, and I was out there a little too long. Hey, what's going on here? And this guy approached me, and she steps out and she looks. Well, she's got a Glock 9mm in her hand, and she's concerned. This is before her Parkinson's kicked in real bad, but she was concerned about my welfare because she glanced out and this guy's got a gun, and she can see it stuck here in his waistband,
Right.
And what she didn't see was stuck on not in his waistband, but on his side, and he was wearing plain clothes. What she didn't see was his badge because he'd had a few too many donuts, and his badge was hidden by his donut pouch, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he asked her to please put the gun down, and I said, "No, Judy, he's a Muskogee PD." And I don't know, a month or two later, about 4 o'clock in the morning, we stayed up late and just shut out the lights, and all of a sudden we saw bright lights shining in our window, and somebody was snooping around out there and shining a light, and Judy grabs the Glock. She beat me to the door. I couldn't grab it quick enough. She was out you know, well, I tripped over some furniture, sort of like Dick Van Dyke, and she made it to the front door, and I said, Judy, don't. And of course, he's like, sorry, ma'am, it's just me again, and and I said, would you mind putting the gun down? She said, why the hell are you shining a light in my bedroom window? Well, we didn't know. It turned out there'd been somebody who'd burnt down part of the structure for the ball field up the block from our house, the announcer stand and stuff. And they had run this direction, and they thought they'd run into our house and then shut out the lights. And that's what they thought had happened. And she says, does it look like somebody could get into my house and survive it? No, ma'am, we don't think they would. Yeah. So, yeah, but so he talked to us, and this was before we had the, open carry, concealed carry, the constitutional carry laws that we have now. But, and that's another thing. With all that, I haven't seen a rise in the murder rate here in Oklahoma because we have constitutional and concealed carry laws now, and stand your ground and make my day laws. I haven't seen an increase in that.
Oh, that's great. You're in Colorado. All crime is on the rise here. That's because we're officially a blue state now.
Yeah. Well, we did have, but it was in certain areas of like Tulsa, their crime rates went up, but that's because of the influx.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. and that's fine. They should have called the cops. This is where they made their mistake, and they shouldn't have chased this guy down. Once they had pulled a gun and he had left, that was the end of that was the end of it. No, he didn't always trip over the ottoman, Mike, but yeah. It depended on, there was some that he actually walked around it, but that particular night I did do a Dick Van Dyke right over some furniture. We'd moved some earlier in the evening because, and I forgot we'd moved it, and I come running out of the bedroom and through the kitchen and tripped over it because I didn't know kitchen chairs were where they weren't supposed to be. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, what these guys did was just, there were so many things that they could have done prior to hunting that guy, and they hunted him down. They chased him down and shot him. And
right.
So
it looks like 2 of the 3 are going to be in for life, and one guy is probably going to do a very long sentence.
Yeah, I was just listening to something a few minutes ago before the show started, and they were saying that in most cases, yes, he is still alive, Mike.
Yes, he is.
Jerry Van Dyke passed away here a couple years ago, but Dick Van Dyke is still very much alive.
Yeah, I wonder how old he's in. His 90s, I believe.
Oh, he's in his 90s. Yeah.
Let's see.
But yeah,
he was born in 25. So yeah, he's 90 something. Let's see.
96.
Yeah, that's right. He would be 100 years old in
25. So he's 96. Yeah. So yeah, as a matter of fact,
that's interesting.
Oh, I have an idea. Him and Betty White might. Yeah. I just saw that. I'm going to have to.
Oh yeah, they're about the same age. I think Betty White's close to 100. I think
She's
she's
getting close. Yeah.
99 or 100.
Yeah. You know, they came out with a new Mary Poppins, or The Return of Mary Poppins, or Mary Poppins
Oh,
Returns, here several years ago, and he's actually in it,
oh my.
but he doesn't play. But he doesn't play. The chimney sweep. But but if you look for him, you can see him. He's in towards the end of the movie. But yeah, and he actually, I don't know, for his 95th birthday or something, his wife threw a birthday party and for him, and they had and he was still doing song and dance,
Yep.
still do that old soft shoe stuff that he used to do, So, uh, yeah, he's known for having the worst Cockney accent ever.
Yeah.
That was yeah, and I don't there was such a great movie, and why, you know, I've often wondered why he did that. What did he think it wasn't going to be a good movie, or just hamming it up, or what? Excuse me, or what? But yeah. Anyways, yeah. Pardon me. But yeah. I don't know why those three idiots went after this guy. I don't know if there was something before, but compared to the Kyle Rittenhouse, which they proved that Kyle Rittenhouse definitely was running away from these people.
Right. That's right.
You know,
And they have
whereas
video of the whole
they have
incident.
video of the whole thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And uh and several of the news agencies have had to come back and retract some of their comments. They haven't come. Yeah.
I wonder if the
They've.
president's going to apologize for
I doubt
calling
it.
him a
No.
white supremacist.
No. He's
And he
they've.
did this before he became president. So
Yes. So he can be
he can be
sued for
sued.
that,
Yep.
for defamation of character.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, I hope he wins a crap ton of money over this.
well, what the little bit I've seen of the interview that he did with Tucker Carlson, he said that he's got some very good lawyers working on it.
Yep. That's good.
And the thing is, as the head defense attorney that he had, wasn't he was he understood what Kyle did, and he said he's very intelligent, but he wasn't fond of the fact that Kyle was there with a gun. I mean, he kind of has, but he knew that it was self-defense. Whether Kyle should have been there or shouldn't have been there was irrelevant up to the point, but he knew that it fell under the self-defense laws. Different than what we have with this Ahmaud Arbery murder trial. These guys, and I think back to can't remember. It was a John Wayne movie with Robert Mitchum played a drunk sheriff. Hello, Robert Glazer, and James Caan played this guy named Mississippi, and he comes
Right, I
in and
remember that.
he hunts down these guys, and because he's got this funny looking hat, and he says, three of you guys or four of you guys killed him, and the one bad guy looks over and says, "It took four of you." And of course, Mississippi takes the knife out, sticks it in him. He just looks and says, "Shouldn't have taken four of you." And that's what this is. These guys, it shouldn't have taken four of them to get this guy. Now, the one guy, the third guy of this in this Arbery murder trial, the reason he is being charged is because he was there as part of it, but he didn't pull the trigger. He didn't. And under those state laws, he can be tried for first-degree murder, and he was found guilty of it.
Mm-hmm.
I never did quite figure out what his part was and where he showed up at it, but he, that's what brought him into it. So, and he's going to pay for it with a lot of time in jail.
Yep, that's right.
And but that father and son, they're just a couple. They were your typical deep South Georgia hillbillies,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
that was, like I said, it was unnecessary. I think they got what they deserved.
Yeah, you're right, Mason.
Yeah,
You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to find a watermelon and do a video because I've got a skateboard.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
say, oh, so watermelon or skateboard can't kill you.
yeah,
And this
yeah.
is your head. This is your head on skate.
Thank you, Chris Wedgeworth. It was El Dorado. I couldn't think of it.
Right.
It was one of the trilogies of those. Uh, there was El Dorado. There was Rio Lobo, I think, and forgot what the third one was. But they were all based. Two of them were identical. Yeah, all three of them had John Wayne, but two of them were John Hughes films that were identical to each other.
Oh,
And it was years before it was they finally admitted that they were the same script. Basically, there was the one with Dean Martin and
I was just going to say that. Yeah, Dean Martin was in one.
and
James Caan.
no, James Caan was with it was in El Dorado. James Caan,
Oh,
Robert Mitchum, and John Wayne were in El Dorado. Ricky Nelson, we just mentioned his name. God, what the hell's wrong
Half
with me
Nelson.
today? No, Ricky Nelson, Dean
Oh yeah,
Martin,
Dean Martin.
and Walter Brennan were in.
Walter Brennan.
Yeah, they were in one, and then in the other one was Ricky Nelson. The other one was Robert Mitchum, James Caan, and some old guy who played the blew a bugle. Some old I don't know which I can't remember. I can never remember his name. He
Walter
also played.
Brennan.
Walter Brennan was in. Walter Brennan was in the one with Ricky Nelson and Dean Martin.
Welcome to Cowboy Movie Trivia.
Yeah, I know, right? The only reason I know these is because we've watched. We've watched both of those
All
in
of
the
them
last couple
100
of weeks.
times each.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. So the Build Back Better bill passed the House. And what gets me is 13 Republican votes.
Yeah.
What they should have done is they should have just said, you know what? You got the votes. You guys passed.
Yeah.
Then it would all be on them. No, these knuckleheads had to go along with it. I think part of it is because they're in districts that are swing districts or
purple districts. Yeah.
So they didn't want to piss off their constituents, and that's why they voted the way they did. Like Fred Upton, he's of Grand Rapids in Western Michigan.
Right,
And
right.
Grand Rapids is kind of like Ann Arbor and Flint and Lansing.
Right, yeah.
They're liberal towns. Now the rest of the district is probably pretty conservative.
Right.
You just have more liberal voters because of Grand Rapids, I think that was Gerald Ford's district at one time.
The IRS is getting $80 billion to enforce tax laws. Anything over $600 in your bank account. Well, yeah. Let them look at my bank account. They're the ones who put the money in there because it's all my retirement. So, and they send me a tax form every year, and I look at it and say, "Oh, okay, that's what I made this year," and go on. And my money doesn't stay in the bank. That's the thing. I keep enough money in the bank.
Yeah, it goes
pay the
into
bills.
your mattress.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. I don't. Why should I? The interest rate that they will pay me on my accounts is so minimal that it's not worth keeping in there.
Well, Well, even a CD doesn't give you much anymore these days.
Yeah, yeah. And I like to have cash available without having to write a
Very,
check or use an ATM card or whatever, you know. It's just I can reach in there to my mattress or my little floor safe or whatever it is I hide it in, and there it is. Like when we bought the van, I went there and paid down with cash, you know.
yep, yep.
And
And you don't have
got
to pay any interest on it to
nope,
finance it, so
nope.
you're good there. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the reason I got, you know, I was able to get the van, you know, and
Hmm. Cool.
uh which is the reason Judy has been not feeling good yesterday, because she's been getting out a lot more and has zapped her energy because she likes riding in the new van.
Oh, it's kind of like, oh, you want to go ride an event?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. Matter of
Does
fact,
she
one of the
stick her
dogs.
head out the window?
No, she doesn't. But she does get sidetracked and forget, and then she'll say something to me, what are you talking about? And she's, and you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, she has enjoyed it. She can't take her wheelchair in it. Yeah, I can put her manual in, but her electric one. But the VA is going to put in uh an, a
A
lift
lift?
inside of it. Yeah, yeah, because she has a lift in the old van, but they can't transfer it over because that company has, and she has one in the back of the truck. Uh,
Ah, okay.
Actually, they're for me. They're not really for Mike. I
Oh,
would,
there
but
you
you
go,
know,
Mike.
I just bought that one, and that's pretty well my Christmas and mine and Judy's Christmas present. It's her birthday present. It's my birthday present until it's paid, you know, until, you know, for at least the next couple of years, you know.
There
Uh,
you go.
but yeah, so yeah, this Build Back Better, you know.
Yeah,
I
doesn't
don't.
that sound original?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
what's
it's like
wrong with Make America Great Again?
yeah, yeah,
No, what Trump did, we got to build back better.
yeah, yeah. And you and I were talking about that before the show. The left and the people in Hollywood have not had an original thought in 30 years. They just got, you know,
Hmm.
and Build Back Better is not what they're doing. You know, I was just watching something about uh, approval ratings, and you know, I think they said the fiscal year 2020 was just ended. Uh,
Hmm.
Ended in it. I think they said it was $6 trillion of money printed for that fiscal year, and going into this fiscal year, there has already been $10 trillion, and that's not counting the whatever you know, however many trillions to Build Back Better,
Right.
you know.
Hmm.
uh you know, so it's just create, you know, the our money is worthless right now. I mean, it's, you know,
Yeah.
paper
Yeah.
money is virtually worthless.
It's called inflation. And Democrats think, oh, we'll just spend our way out. It didn't work when Nixon tried it.
Yeah, yeah,
Next thing you know, they're going to want price control. Oh, and how about this? He released what, 50 billion
50
barrels from
billion,
the
yeah, 50,
of oil from the strategic
yeah,
reserves. Like, oh
2.6
yeah, that'll
days.
solve everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
2.6
it'll
days worth
help,
of,
but it'll only be temporary. It's
yeah,
just a temporary dip in a
yeah,
couple months. Gas prices will start going back up again.
and you know, gas prices dropped. I
Mhm.
saw they were running 2.99 a gallon to 3.19 a gallon here in
Right.
Muskogee. And the other day I was driving around. I guess I better check because
Mhm.
we drove around that van, and I need to fill it up again. And it's about 2.79 a gallon right now. So
Wow.
that's, yeah. And you know, that's sad. That's really sad when you think about it. I'm excited the gas is down to 2.79 a gallon. This time last year, it was $1.69 a gallon.
Right. Hmm.
You know, just a year ago, it was $1.69 a gallon. But it started rising right after he became president, and it continued to rise.
Oh, as soon as he killed the Keystone XL
Keystone
pipeline,
right,
and canceled all of those permits, the oil companies say, why bother drilling here? Because it's just more regulation. It'll cost us more to get it out of the ground than it's worth for. So
It's 360 in Arizona, and Mason says the U.S. dollar is worth 88 cents. Yeah, yeah, it's this spending and this build back better idea, and this idea that why are they why do they need to know that you've got $600 in your bank account? I mean, it's nobody's damn business.
because they think they're a bunch of scofflaws from the IRS.
Well, if all you got in your bank account is $600, you're not avoiding taxes. You just aren't making very much.
Hello, Doug. Good to
Oh,
see
Doug.
you. Speaking of gas prices in California, there are places where it's almost $6 a gallon.
Yeah,
it's
because
just insane.
Pelosi and them have said that they want to eliminate the complete use of fossil fuels.
Right.
Over the next. Well, I just bought a van. Now, unless the government is going to buy me one of these new electric vehicles or something that runs on water or nitrogen or something like that, that's not a fossil fuel.
Well, unless you can only drive those at night.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they haven't figured out how's California going to be able to. I mean, they're let's just take the electric car for instance. Their electrical infrastructure is so bad. That's where they had a lot of their wildfires over the years. They haven't built any new refineries for oil. Their power distribution centers are completely crap and need to be rebuilt. And the way they're generating electricity, they can't do it with water because they're in the middle of a drought. Yep. The wind farms, well, if they end up having a cold winter, well, those things aren't going to work. There's a lot of, and there's a lot of things going on that the cost of electricity, I asked Greg about this when he got his new car before the wreck. I said, I want to see what your electric bill is. Look at because he's got a hybrid, it's gas and electric. Right. And I said, I want to look at your electric bill. Look at your utility bill. See how much it's gone up when you charge that car. Because that's the bottom dollar, okay, so these things don't, maybe they don't blow smog out in the air, they don't put out emissions that can be deadly. But what's the cost of creating the electricity to charge them things? Upstate New York, and they have been building solar farms all over the place around me. Yeah, and that's great until wintertime hits, and look at the storage that they have to have for solar. I mean, just solar farms are good, but they're not year round, especially at places like upstate New York. That's cold. Come wintertime.
And another thing about solar farms is you got to clean those things once in a while.
Yeah.
Because you get buildup of dust, and that's going to affect the efficiency of those solar farms. So you got to hire people to go out there and clean those bad boys.
Yeah, true, because who are they going to pay to clean them? Yeah.
Right.
Maybe all them nice people that they just brought in from Mexico would like to go up there into upstate New York. Coming from Mexico, let's send them to upstate New York. Not that we want you to have those kind of neighbors, Paul, but or Doug. I mean, I was thinking, well, his last name, anyways. Doug. Yeah. So send them up there to clean those solar panels.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and they're doing it in Florida too.
Oh yeah.
When
there is, and here's the thing: what is the long? They don't know the long-term effects of those batteries. You know, what kind of batteries are they? What kind of gases do they put out? What kind of how are they, you know, and how long do they last? How many charges can they have? How do you dispose of them? You know, all of this because the Green New Deal has come along, and these people think there's, you know, our cars that we drive today are far more efficient than they were 50 years ago. You know,
Well, even the coal-fired plants have gotten a lot cleaner.
the coal-fired plants have cleaner emissions than a lot of them because, and it's because of regulation. But they, you know, and they're trying to kill off an industry. You know, they just they haven't thought this through. This is all pie in the sky. This is about like waiting for tube socks to be delivered by Amazon.
Through, Lloyd.
Oh yeah, they've thought it through.
This is all part of the cloud-driven strategy to overwhelm the system to where everything collapses, and they think the people will come save us, Governor.
Yeah. More, please. Yeah.
Well, I have
15 to 20 years. Then what do they do with them? And that's the thing. I have a V6 Ford Escape that drinks some gas on these hills. Yeah. That's what I like about this new Dodge Caravan I've got. It's got a V6 in it, and it has an EcoBoost thing you can push to when you're out on the highway. It gives a little more fuel efficiency. I can't tell the difference, but I love it when I'm pulling that on the highway and I stomp that little V6 because it's running 289 horsepower. And it's a pretty hot little V8 or V6, you know, and I can't say that I'm getting great gas mileage. It's not bad, but I bought it with a full tank of gas. I couldn't get better than that. I've used a full tank of gas for that.
Yep.
And cost me $20 to fill it, you know, the first time to refill it, and I've got to go.
Wow.
And
if I fill up mine, it's almost $40.
Well, I only let it get down to about a half a tank, so
okay.
I'm not running it to empty and then trying to fill up a 20-gallon tank because it's got a 20-gallon tank. That's going to cost me $45-50 to fill that. So I've been keeping
and
it
I've
topped
got
off.
a V6 in my Camry, my Toyota Camry.
Doug, I was impressed with how quick that, and of course, is what I like about it is the GT model, so it's got all the bells, whistles, and buzzers. It took me. Greg called me the other night before his show, and I have a. It's called IATI, which is the name of the phone holder that I have, and I've used it in my van to when I was doing my vlogs or in my truck, and which, you know, it's fantastic for that. But when I got the new one, of course, I've got an iPhone 13, and it's got that ring in the back that's, you know, wireless charging, you know.
Right.
Well, they made a new one of these phone holders like I had before, except this one has a wire that plugs into a cigarette lighter. It charges my phone, and all I got to do is take my phone, put it up there. It opens up, put my phone in, and it shuts automatically, and it starts charging it. So it's
cool.
Yeah, but my phone connects to my flipping stereo system, and Greg called me, and I couldn't figure out how to answer it. It's like he kept calling, like, "Oh, wait a minute, what's worse is a gallon of gas or gallon
of milk."
Yeah, I know. It's gotten to that point. It's like $3 a gallon or more for milk.
Yeah.
You know, depending on where I've seen it as high as $4.49 for a gallon of milk. You know.
Well, you need to get on the 2% milk.
Get on the what? Oh no, I ain't drinking that. No, I want flavor in my milk. Hey, I'm old enough. I'm going to die of something.
You want the whole milk? Okay.
I want the whole milk. That's right. Because I figure I'm going to die of something. If I'm going to die of something, I might as well die happy. You know.
Well, I'm cheap, but I'm not cheap enough to get that skim milk, which is just watered milk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's
I tried
I
that once when I was living with some friends of mine back in my heavy metal days, and they had skim milk, and I put that on cereal, and I go, oh,
I was laughing at what Robert said. Those caravans are nice until they start coming across the border.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true, you know. But yeah, we did 2% milk for quite a while when my mother was living with us before she passed, because that's what she drank. And after she passed, I said, I want to go back to whole milk, and I was surprised at the flavor difference. And I'm in it for the
Yeah,
flavor. I love.
there is a difference. And I gotten used to the 2%, and I
Well,
kind of like it better than the whole milk. And I've had
well,
whole
and
milk when I'm on a trip somewhere and I get milk from my
yeah,
cereal, and
right.
yeah,
Yeah, soy milk. I have not
yeah,
now, or almond milk. You know,
almond milk. I
how the
was
hell do
just
you
gonna
milk
say,
an almond?
yeah. I wonder.
I don't know.
It's like trying to
Oh,
milk your cat.
yeah. Oh, we've definitely gone off the rails on this show today, haven't we?
So on the Build Back Better bill has got so much junk in it. It's mostly for social programs, the Green New Deal,
Yep.
and the only thing that could stop this in its tracks are two senators, and that's Manchin from West Virginia and uh, Kirsten Sinema from Arizona, who, by the way, that used to be John McCain's seat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That was McCain's seat.
And so hopefully, and they've said that, hey, we're not voting for this monstrosity, because I think they're in districts that they're worried about their future.
Yeah,
Because
because there's again is a split district, but it's a purple district, but it's got a heavier dose of red than blue, whereas the other, like in
well,
those
Mansions,
Republican.
West Virginia, which is coal country, which
Yes,
the Green New Deal will pretty much kill his industry, which will really hurt his state.
yeah, it would hurt his state, and uh, give them. I got to give those two guys credit because they're those two people credit because they've been taking a crap load of heat from the left, and they're
Yep.
standing their grounds. They've been threatened and abused like nobody else, and you know, they're sticking up for their state and for their people,
Mhm.
and
Right.
that's something that apparently 13 Republican congressmen didn't think about. They thought about the next election.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Doug. Great to
Yeah,
see
Doug.
you.
Good. Yeah, good to have you in here. But yeah, it was. But I got to give them credit. They've really been sticking to their guns. Of course, it hasn't made it. It's just now making it to the Senate. We'll see how
Hmm.
how true they are to their words. That's
Hmm.
when they can talk a good game. Anybody can talk, but it doesn't mean that they're actually going to uh, you know they're they're going to stick to their guns when push comes to
Right.
shove. That's
Yeah.
uh,
Because what will happen is then it'll be a 50-50 tie with Harris
yeah.
with the
All they need is
deciding
one
vote.
of them. Mansion or Cinnamon or
Kirsten
whatever they're.
Sinema.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yep.
Chris
Yeah,
Kristen Cinema.
she beat that
She's hot.
wackadoodle Republican. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. We get these idiot Republicans that, you know,
That
the
are
the point.
too red for the district.
Yeah,
Listen to
yeah, yeah. And
I know we all get mad at these squishy Republicans, those damn rhinos. But you know what? I mean, we need them. Otherwise, we'll
Well,
be the minority party. We don't want to
yeah,
do that.
and yeah, that's what I mean. These 13 Republicans that voted for this bill, they're in an area they're still trying to keep some Republican control, and they're the average American isn't far left or
Right.
isn't far right.
Mhm.
We're average. We are everyday people trying to
Right.
live our life and trying to make better for our family or trying to survive the craziness that's going on.
Mhm.
And we're just trying to make it through without, and you can see by the polls, both Kamala Harris and let's go
Right.
Brandon Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see by their polls, I just watched a thing about the polls that, yeah, there you go. Let's go Brandon. I wasn't sure. I had to look to see what you're doing. I thought, okay, maybe he's got bad gas. My dad used to do that when he had bad gas. Anyways, I digress. But they were talking about John Kennedy, first year in office, Bay of Pigs,
Mhm.
total disaster. He single-handedly set it up, as a total disaster and
Mhm.
let the, Cuba and Fidel Castro lean towards
Russia.
the Communist Party, go to Russia, right? So, and Gerald Ford coming out of so that we had Kennedy with the Bay of Pigs, we had Gerald Ford with the fall of Saigon,
Yeah.
both of their polls went up. Everybody sort
Mhm.
of gave them a pass. Okay, that was bad, but you're
Mhm.
new at this job. We'll let you get your feet wet a little longer before we really judge you.
Mhm.
Joe Biden, the fall of Afghanistan.
Mhm.
Historically, the presidents in their first year get sort of a, okay, he's learning. He's not as Joe Biden is in his first year, and he's just been on downhill turn.
Downward spiral.
And
Yep.
yeah, downward spiral, just going down, down, down. And so historically, this is new. This is what they were evaluating, and like I said, the average person is realizing in these
Mhm.
polls compared to what they were back in the days of both Ford and then back further to Kennedy,
Mhm.
they are realizing that this man is not good for the country, nor is Kamala, who's even lower numbers.
Yeah. Now you were
That,
talking about the center. I was listening to some of the local conservative talk show hosts here in Denver, and they were talking about someone who wrote a piece about uh, where the center is, and since the Democrat Party has gone so far to the left, they have pretty much moved the center over from what used to be 5. The center is now a 4, maybe
yeah,
3.5. Where Donald Trump, when he came in, he was able to pull it marginally back to 5.
yeah,
So hopefully, after
I,
the midterms, we could kind of edge it back more towards
right.
5, and maybe the 5.5 states would be great.
Yeah, well, look at Ronald Reagan. He created he really was sort of the balance of the perfect left, right, and he represented the center of the United States, the center, the average, like us. And Biden in some ways, the center has actually, since Biden is finally in office and doing, well, once he was sworn in and we saw what he's doing, the center is actually shifting back to the right.
Yeah.
You start because I saw the example this weekend, college football. That's probably why we don't have a lot of people watching right now, because we have college football. It's been going on all weekend and all the way through the new year. I saw 4 examples, and I'm glad to say that my alma mater, Oklahoma State University, was one of them. That they were chanting. What was funny is even the band was, beating the drums, and they were doing the chant with F. Joe Biden, and or Let's Go Brandon, yeah. But 4 college teams that were playing this weekend, and the whole stadium was chanting it. And these are
were
college
there
students.
any northern colleges doing that?
I don't think
Like
so. I looked. I didn't.
Michigan or Michigan
I'll have to go
State?
back and look. It was on. I think Fox News had it. Might have been Tucker Carlson. I think may have brought it up. I can't remember now, but where I saw it. But it was. I saw it just before we went live, and I was watching that, and I did notice that it looked like they were all Southern College teams.
Oh, yeah, I was
But
wondering if any of the other, like Michigan, Michigan State, or Ohio
yeah,
State,
and
Illinois, Wisconsin. Oh, not
I
Wisconsin.
suspect. Yeah, I suspect you're going to find it. But yeah, because of the dismal thing, and of course the Afghanistan things is Joe Biden can't get over that, and then now the southern border thing, and then the
Yeah.
oh my God, and even
Oh,
the
and
Kyle Rittenhouse.
this Build Back Better thing is.
Right?
Did you hear what the latest the quarterly GDP was?
No, I hadn't. What is
Just
it?
over 2%.
Good
I mean,
God,
we're talking about this is like back when Obama was president. We were getting 1.5,
one
just
and
a
a half
little
and 2.
over 2.
Yeah, and this is in his. He hasn't even gone a year yet since he's been
Hmm.
in office. I mean, this is we're talking 10 months.
I think in the first quarter of 22, we're going to see either zero or negative
Negative
GDP.
GDP.
I
Yeah,
think everybody's talking about, no, we're doing great. We're on the no. We've got all these supply issues. It's
yeah.
going to catch up, and it's going to get to a point where a lot of these companies that can't fill their orders,
Have to
and
shut down.
they're going to shut down. They're going to
Yeah.
either go out of business, or they're going to lay off a crap ton of people just to
place
stay in
place
business.
where every year for the last 10 years I've gone to a place called Cowboys. It's a barbecue place here just down the road from me,
Hmm.
and I've had them smoke my ham. Well, I went to call them back the 1st of November to reserve a ham and have them, put my name on it so they'd have it ready. The phone number was changed, and I found out from my son here a couple of weeks ago that they went out of business. They had to shut down for COVID, and then they just the older couple, they'd been wanting to retire and been trying to sell it, and they just got to the point they just sold it. So we lost a staple of Muskogee's barbecue
Right,
kingdom here, because we have a lot of Oklahoma barbecue here, and we've lost one of the competitors in that. So there's only
right.
two two main people in that competition. So we've lost one, and they're turning it into a Mexican restaurant. Like, we need any more? We got plenty of those. We got some good ones around here.
Hmm.
Uh, we don't need another Mexican restaurant, because
Hmm.
part of those closed down during COVID because, they had a couple, one on the east side, one on the west side. Well, they shut down the one on the west side or the one on the east side because they couldn't
Right.
support 2 of them, and that's the
Hmm.
kind of stuff we're seeing. These businesses are shutting down because, COVID hit them hard, and I just saw there's a new variant out,
The Omicron variant.
Omicron variant. Yeah,
Yep. Hmm.
yeah,
I'm waiting for the Zeta variant, and then
yeah,
we can finally stop.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. This,
y- I don't think this COVID thing is going to end. I think it's going
no,
to be like the flu, where every year we're going to have these damn mask mandates. Like here in Jefferson, Adams, Denver, and Arapahoe County have a mask mandate. So if
Yeah.
you go into a business, you gotta put on your freaking mask.
Yeah. I mean,
Pissing
and
me
that's
off.
it. Yeah. Well, in
And where
Oklahoma,
I
we have
work, I have to give them my vaccine card, so I'm don't have to wear a mask at work. Why should
yeah.
I have to do that? That just
Well,
pisses
first
me
off, that's
off.
a violation of the HIPAA. No, why hasn't somebody brought up that is a violation of HIPAA? Your health records are your health records and nobody else's. And they
Hmm.
can't force you to do, and besides, from what they're saying, just having the 2 shots isn't good. You got to have a third
Yeah,
one and now a fourth one and
yeah,
a fifth one and a sixth one.
yep.
They're
Hmm.
never going to stop
Hmm.
until we get these idiots out of office and
It's
we
a
get rid of people like.
flipping virus. It's not like smallpox. It's not like
No, it's not.
polio.
Yeah,
And
it's not.
besides, this is a virus that has a 98.999% survival rate. The only people that are dying off, sad, I hate to say this, are the elderly and people with uh, comorbidity, like
Right, right.
diabetes,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, obesity,
Well,
liver,
they're not the
especially
only ones.
respiratory issues.
Right. They're not the only ones dying off because my friend's his wife
Right?
passed
You were
away, and
telling me
she was
she
just
was
59 years
fine,
old,
and all of a sudden, boom.
and
Yep.
she had actually nursed him through COVID. So she'd been
So,
exposed to the original COVID,
hmm.
the Alpha variant,
Yep.
and she survived it. But the Delta variant took a toll on her, and
Hmm.
it hit her, and it was fast, and it was over with,
Yep.
and she worked. She was perfectly healthy. She was a very active person, and but the flu will do that. A perfectly
Yeah, the
healthy
flu
human
will do
being
that.
will nail
Even
you too.
influenza will. What's that?
Pneumonia. Pneumonia can hit
Pneumonia.
anybody anytime. And it's just so this whole vaccine and like I said, like my son, he doesn't know if he's going to be working after the first year or not because he works for the state of Oklahoma as a law enforcement officer, and he may be required to get the vaccine. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so I
Well,
don't know. Of
and we
course,
can
I don't.
all thank that lab in China for
Yep,
whether it
yep,
was accidental or on purpose. China, they figure, well, what, there's no
yeah,
problem. We can get rid of a few million Chinese because we got a billion plus people here. So it's
yeah,
not going to hurt them much. But how about
yeah.
all these? And we could
Well, it's
blame
like,
Fauci for this, because he's
yeah,
the one that funneled that money into
right,
gain of function research,
yeah.
which
Gain of
was
function research. Yeah, yeah.
it
It's
reminds me of you remember there were a couple early atomic scientists that died prematurely because they were screwing around with uh, plutonium core. It's
right, right.
called they called it tickling the dragon's tail,
Yeah, yeah,
and one of them was placing carbide blocks to see how much you would need to deflect the energy to see if they could get as close to criticality without going over the edge. Well, one
right.
of the Brits fell in, and the the needle just went off the chart. So he grabbed in and pulled that brick out, and he got a lethal dose
Dose
of
of
radiation.
radiation. Yeah, yeah,
And the other scientists around him, well, they all died of cancer, but they were all in their 80s when they died.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how do we
But they
know
all
if that radiation was what gave them the cancer?
well. Look at John Wayne, and there's one particular film in which it was filmed out in Nevada, and they needed
Oh,
dirt brought in, and 80 to 90% of all the people that were directly on, because what they used was radioactive soil. They had, and they all died of cancer.
Yep.
In their, anywhere from their 50s to their 70s. But they all
Mhm.
died of cancer.
Oh, and the other scientist that died, it was that same plutonium core where he had a beryllium sphere, and he had a freaking screwdriver holding the top half of the sphere open to see how low they could get before it started to go critical. And something happened, and he dropped the screwdriver. That thing closed up, and there was this flash of blue light in the room. He reached over and knocked the beryllium sphere off, and he got a lethal dose of
Yeah.
radiation. Yep. And
Yeah.
have you seen that movie Fat Man Little Boy, where they
Yeah.
part of the Manhattan Project? Well,
Right.
that scene was in that movie where the guy
Okay.
reached in and
Yeah. I do remember that now.
so
Yeah.
after that, that's when they decided no more direct human contact with radioactive substance. That's why
Yeah.
they went in having what's called a hot box, where you had these either gloves or these mechanical uh, arms that would manipulate what you were doing with the. Did you know they used to mill those plutonium spheres? And that's what
Yeah.
was causing the fires over at Rocky Flats, because those
Yeah.
shavings would build up, and it got to a point where they would spontaneously combust.
Yeah. The company that went in and started, uh, uh, I don't know if it was Rocky Flats or the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, but they were required to go in and they had to clear all that stuff out. And it was one of them was one of the kids I grew up with there in Denver, and his company got the contract to go in and clean all that mess up.
Okay. Well,
But
Rocky
those
Mountain Arsenal,
that was where the
that
nerve
was
gas and
gas agents. Yeah,
gas
it was
agents. Yeah, I
also
think it.
pesticides too, which
Yeah. DEET
Rocky
and
Flats was all
all
plutonium and stuff.
plutonium. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know if he worked on both of them or if he just worked on one. I thought he had the contract to work on both of them. He had his, you know, and but yeah. Well, Grand Junction, Colorado. I mean, my senior year, between my junior and senior year, the mill tailings from all the
Right.
uranium mines over there, they used that for
Yep.
landfill
Mhm.
everywhere. And
Right.
I remember between my junior and senior year, they went under our school and dug all of that out.
Yep.
Shorted
Mhm.
up. And what do us kids do? Hey, that was cool because we were able to actually get into some of the tunnels and then get up through the sub basement and get up into the school and run around while we were crawling around in that stuff. A bunch of us, took our flashlights. There's nothing but
Right.
radioactive mill tailings. We didn't care.
Mhm. Well, we
And
have a reservoir just west of Arvada. It's called Ralston Reservoir. That's where Ralston Creek runs through.
right,
Well, that reservoir is off limit because just to the north of that is the Schwarzwälder mine, where they mined uranium. And
uranium.
some
Yeah,
of that uranium, radioactive stuff was starting to seep into the
yeah,
reservoir.
yeah.
So no fishing there. Nobody could go up there and enjoy the scenery there.
Well, in my, this is, of course, I have MS, and the government took responsibility for me having MS because they said it was either I was talked to I said, I don't know where they figured out that, how it became connected, but MS was one of those several neurological diseases that veterans got, especially in the Air Force. So they they either suspect it was Agent Orange or radiation exposure.
Oh, from the depleted
Deplete,
uranium used
yeah,
in
depleted
the.
uranium that we were
Yeah,
using in our high explosive incendiary rounds because, and in those days, we had ammo cans. In the early days of the A10, we hand loaded.
right.
We handled those rounds. It wasn't just, of course, they were all hand loaded, but when you're pulling them out directly instead of having to, pulling them out of the can, somebody hand loaded them somewhere, anyways. But yeah, we were exposed to this every time we handled high explosive incendiaries because they had depleted uranium. Those were the armor piercing tank buster rounds, But so yeah,
All
so
right. Speaking of armor piercing, we've done a little over an hour. Boy, that hour
yeah,
just
Agent
flew
Orange,
by.
Chris, yeah.
Yep.
In the time period that I was in, they
Secret
figured that
Agent Orange.
well, Agent Orange, they figured there was a lot of residue left over in the aircraft because they used that to, there was Agent Orange residue.
Vietnam.
Yeah, defoliant. Yeah. Uh,
Yep.
and that stuff was everywhere. I mean, it was all over the place
Yep.
in the 70s,
Alrighty, so
Let's go another hour.
hey,
Yeah, we've already
great
gone way
show.
over.
We blew right through that, just the two of us.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Mike couldn't join us. He had company from
Yep.
town, so hopefully he'll be back with us next week. All right, folks in the chat, thank you for coming in. You have a great Sunday. God bless you. Catch you next time.
Y'all take
Bye-bye.
care.